Perhaps before you start, let me know, before you start, I have a 1-minute exercise for everyone.
That you want me not to be recorded? Because I...
Yeah, no, record it, for sure, record it.
Okay, so let me welcome everyone. Tonight, it's the evening of the Spring Dialogues. Well, as I said, welcome everybody. Spring Dialogues on the becoming of Agile Leadership. This series of dialogues that I'm hosting were born in February when it's okay. When we celebrated, there was the planetary celebration of 20 years of the Agile Manifesto. It was called Agile 20 Reflect Festival. Dov and I were both partners in crime in that, in organizing this festival. And as the dialogues went well during the month of February, I decided to continue because it seems to me that there are so many people that can share a lot of wonderful insights on what the Agile leadership can become, and many other topics. So for those who don't know me, I'm just presenting myself briefly. My name is Wana Junku. I'm living in France, and I like to call myself an Agile leadership DJ who mixes whatever practices help individuals and teams to become proud of their outcomes. For the dialogue tonight, my guest is Dov Tsal, and I have a great pleasure to have invited Dov and that he accepted. Thank you, Dov. Dov is a social hacker and an avid Taoist, and I'm sure that he wants to present himself further on all these dimensions and many others. Dov, up to you.
Present, not really. The exercise that I would love to start this with is to take a small silence and think about 2 questions. And the first question is, what would you love to happen in this hour? Like, what would make this hour really interesting, amazing, worth your time? Think about this for a second and see what images raise. And you don't have to put them in any chat. I want you to keep them in your head. It's there for you. So what would you expect to happen in this hour? And while you're thinking about this, the second question, and there's no judgment in this question, is on a scale of 1 to 10, how present do you intend or can you be in this hour? So perhaps you can't, perhaps you have kids, perhaps you do something in parallel. It's all right. Just, I would love you to define this for yourself, to see these 2 questions together. So take some time to see if you have some image, abstract or not, of what would you like to happen today and how present are you ready to be. And with this, we can start. And the question is, of course, for you and for me as well. I intentionally, it's hard, but I didn't think about answers for me. So while I'm asking, I'm also raising some, and while I'm questioning this, I'm also raising some answers for me. And it's for you too. And when you're ready, we can start.
Thank you, Dov, for being a presence really for us all. I am ready, and thank you for this moment of insight. How I would love it to work is that we have a dialogue that will take us somewhere on agile leadership and whatever other fantastic topics you would love to explore. And that will happen for 30 minutes. And then I would invite our participants to take my place and ask you a question or do any comments, remarks that will take us also some other places. What I would like to happen, and I'm sure will happen, is that I will be surprised. Whatever happens is the best thing, and I'm sure I will be surprised. So, Dov, my first question, thinking about you and the way that you presented yourself as a social hacker, I would like you to share with us what is for you if there is any, the social dimension of leadership.
What do you mean by leadership? Let's start by this.
I don't know. I mean whatever you want it to mean.
Yeah.
So it's an invitation to give a definition or whatever you want to say about leadership.
So for me, the definition of leadership is really simple, because the book that I use to inspire me, which is the Agile Tao, has a definition of leadership, and I can share it with you, and then we can take it from there. So let's see. I'll just find the right poem. Yeah, okay. So in fact, we will see if we'll do one or two, depends on your patience, but I have to be able to share the screen for this.
You are not able to share the screen?
Or I can just read it if you want, but I think sharing the screen would be more interesting. And while you do this, so the metaphor that I really love of leadership, taken from the book of Tao, is that a valley leads water by running underneath it, right? So a valley doesn't tell each particle of water where to go. Mm-hmm. Just by being beneath it, it allows water to go where it is, right? And if there's more water and water overflows, the valley is not angry about it or does something about it. Mm-hmm. So like that's the metaphor of leadership that I understand. So as a leader, you take Peter Merrill in Xscale has a nice definition. We make it easy to take it easy. So as a leader, you do the effort for things to run flawlessly. You prepare the infrastructure for things to go where they want / need / whatever go. Okay, so as a leader, you don't force things. You help the harmony of things. You align intentions. You calm conflicts. You make the intention of the whole organization clearer and build people and teams and projects and whatever you want around it. So that would be my rant while you wanted to give me permission. And just one thing that I wanted to show, which is another aspect of it, is this poem, which I love. And in fact, I had the perfect leader. So once I was a Scrum Master, Agile coach, and I had a manager. which was a direct manager of something like 150 people. And we would sit in a space that held about 60 people. And when you enter the space, you wouldn't have any idea who the manager is. Okay, so you enter the space. If I would ask you to point who, like she is, so you already reduce it by 2/3, right? Because most are male, but still you wouldn't be able to trace her. And this poem that I would love to read to you is called Leaders. And it's a poem that I gave her as a present when I left the company. The best leaders are barely known by their subjects. The next are loved and praised. The next feared, the next despised. With no trust with the people have no trust in them. As nature does nothing but adapt, great leaders lead by adaptation, neglecting no one, controlling no one, and taking no side. People only prosper under such leadership by adapting to each other. So if you don't have to adapt to me, you adapt to you. When such leaders achieve their purpose, the people see it as their own, right? So if a good leader does it, in another version, it says, if a good leader does something, the people will say it was done by itself. And that's, for me, is a perfect definition of leadership. I hope it helps.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for your poem, Dov. And if you want later on to share it, maybe on the chat, so that people can have it. This is beautiful, and I love the idea that came to me when you use the metaphor of the valley. Is like let's be the valley, the role model of leadership. Like
like this is interesting, because I think as any change agent, as any leader, I think the best quality that you can have is congruence, is to embody what you want to happen. Like, you can't tell people be open when you're closed, right? You can't tell people be honest while you're plotting, and the other way around, right? So people learn by seeing you and not by listening to your words. And that's I think, a great attribute of a good leader. Now, agile, not agile, I think the word agile is really overused.
Okay, so I will we'll come back to the fact that agile is overused, because I think it's a very important topic. But staying into congruence and exemplarity, what I call it, and in also exemplarity, you said that the agile leader creates harmony.
Yeah.
I remember. How does she create harmony?
I love that you said she. Thanks a lot.
How does she create harmony while she's congruent with her own values?
So I'm not sure it's about creating harmony. It's about supporting harmony.
Okay.
Right? You don't create harmony out of, first of all, harmony, like I think most things in the world, are not a dichotomic state. It's not either you have harmony or you don't have harmony. No, the best tuned instruments are not 100% tuned. So like harmony is as an absolute is just an ideal. It doesn't work. But you create a finer state for harmony by, I think, letting conflicts happen. By putting above the surface things that below the surface are conflicting. And then finding the higher purpose of it. right? So if you and me are my dad, who died last year, told me once a wonderful story where he did some tests for the Mossad, or the, like, in Israel, and they were two people in the room, and both of them had to get hold of an orange that was on the table for the task. At the end, they saw that one person should have taken the orange to make the juice, and one for the peel to make alcohol from the peel. So the higher you go on understanding what do you want this for, and then what do you want this for, and what do you want this for, I believe that at the ultimate high level, everyone wants the same thing, because, and this is like part of, again, the Taoist mindset, we are all the same thing. The distinction between you and me is an illusion. We are just like cells in our body. We are part of the body, and we have no separate existence out of it. Now, the higher you go, and this is the role of leadership, that's why I'm saying to provide the vision of what is the purpose of this thing that we're building together, insurance company, bank, store, whatever. Yeah? What are we trying to contribute to the world? If we help everyone who's concerned with this to align around this, there will be less conflict. The conflicts will be weaker because the higher purpose will be stronger.
This is so beautiful, Dov. Thank you for saying that. The fact that we ultimately have all a higher purpose, that it's a greater good somehow. And as I understand what you said is that the leadership supports the ways to remind us that we are all united in this higher purpose instead of being divided by the conflicts. Now, what it's interesting, what I understood, what you said is also that a leader will support harmony by relevating conflicts, not being afraid of conflicts.
Yeah.
So,
like if you, in fact, hold on. The other poem that I wanted to read is, where is it? Yeah, this one. Yeah, perhaps I'll show you another one. No, but in fact, even in this poem, I won't go into the other one. In this poem, what it says is that the leader has no interest. The leader supports the people in what they want to do and not what the leader wants to do. Right? So if now I have to support a group of people in what they want to do, my first mission is to find what they want to do. And before that, I have to see this group of people as they, as one, as something that wants to do something, right? There is a great exercise that, unfortunately, I don't know how to do it in this virtual environment, but when you speak to a group of people, you add one empty chair. And when you ask, what would you like to happen, everyone, or whatever question you ask, you say, this chair is the chair of this group. What does this group wants to do? Who wants to sit on this chair and speak on behalf of this thing? And what this exercise does, in fact, is we all belong to different circles, right? I am me, and I am part of this dialogue, and I am part of my couple here who's preparing dinner, and I'm part of the Agile community, and I'm part of a lot of things, the male part of the human race, and the human race, whatever. Only how strong is my identity now in each of these? And an exercise like this, what it does is it makes my identity as part of the group stronger, which, as I said, brings my identity as an individual a little bit lower. And now I'm more minded for what does the team want to do.
This is, I love this, Dov, and I'm sure our participants also, and I love its, this perspective on leadership. The first word it came to my mind was revolutionary, but at the end it said it's not revolutionary, it's just another perspective on the same truth. But the perspective that we don't.
1,500 years is not revolutionary, right? It's
Exactly. That's what I say. I didn't say that. It's and it's very deep for us to be reminded that leader is not the one that gives the vision, as you said, but someone that supports the vision that the group wants. And I love your systemic definition on the leader and individual. So would you agree then that lower individuality a leader has, stronger a leader she is for the group?
What do you mean by individuality?
Well, you said that you, as a person, we are part of different circles. I'm an individual, then for a circle of my family, and then the Agile community. And when I don't put myself individually first, then I can be more at service for the group, and so I'm stronger as a leader for the group.
It's interesting, yeah. So what you're saying is, the less ego I have, the more I can serve, lead the group, if you want. The more I can contribute to the leadership of the group. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes, exactly. That's what I understood. So I wanted to say.
I just two things that I want to say about this. I hope I remember both. Perhaps I'll forget the second one. One is, I love the distinction between leadership and a leader. Mm-hmm. We tend to put a function on a person, while I think that a lot of time the best leadership is emerging. Mm-hmm. The best leadership is taken by whoever is the right person to make the decision at this moment, and not the moment before or a moment after. Like I don't know if you know a murmuration, like a group of birds, a group of birds that fly as a cloud. Leadership there is emerging. So the birds on the edges of the cloud lead the cloud, but when they get tired, they go in, and other birds wake up and say, "Oh," and now they lead it. So it's not, no one is taking leadership, but it emerges by whoever is the right person now to do it. So this is about the distinction between leadership and leaders. The other thing I still remember, it's great, is I think I came out of a facilitation day today. A lot of times a good facilitator is someone who is not afraid to how they will be perceived. Are they doing the right thing, or like, will it work or not? And this is part of ego. So ego is not only I want to do and I will force you to do this, but also, am I ready to be hurt by doing something that might work, and will they laugh at me, if you want? Okay, so a good leader for me is someone who say, it's okay that they will laugh at me, not a problem.
Yeah, that's so important, Dov, what you are saying, and I'm sure that this is a lot of food for thought. That ego is also being preoccupied by the judgment of the others, or trying to be perfect is a manifestation of ego. So whatever perfect means, I want to come back to something that you've said, and I want to nail it down because it was so important, and tell me if that's true, that actually leadership is a shared collective manifestation. It's
It
not,
can be. Yeah.
can
So
be.
first of all, for sure, no, I'm not sure that it can be equally distributed, right? Or even if it can, even if it can, I don't think it's right to democratize it, to say everyone now has 1% of leadership because we are 100 people. Okay. The thing is, I think that perhaps leadership is overrated. So people who want power want to be called leaders. So the fact that it's emerging doesn't mean that everyone has equal parts. And some people are better, some people know how to speak nicer. Some people are more awake, I'd say, more aware of where are conflicts, where there are problems ahead. But what I see a lot of times happen, by the way, is that at some point, because of the prestige of leadership, leaders, when they come to this place and they call it a place of power, they're afraid that it will be taken away from them. And that's where ego starts.
Okay, so as I understand well, what you're saying, Dov, is that power is related with the fear of losing privileges.
Yeah, of course.
So having power is really also being overwhelmed by fear. How much do you agree with that?
I won't quote the book of Tao the whole session, but like basically yes. So there is this duality. So fear and power for sure are two complementary parts of a force. And you can't have fear without power, and you can't have power without fear.
No, that's thank you for mentioning that, because I have a work personally that I'm leading on. I'm searching on ego, fear, power, and leadership. So yes, Dov, you in your poem, you also mentioned the attitude or the posture of a leader as being adaptive as a nature. So how can you tell us a little bit more about how can a leader be inspired by how life works?
So I can tell you a lot, but basically life works like this. There's nothing that is constant except for change, right? The only thing that doesn't change is that things change all the time. And when you lead from this perspective, then it means that first, I'm sorry to bring that word that we said we won't use, but agility is about the ability to react to change, right? If you're awake to the fact that everything changes all the time, if you're alert to this is the first part. The second part perhaps is to know that you're part of this. So your role changes all the time. Your contribution to what happens now changes all the time. And if you accept this, then you're able to lead without fear. If you resist this, now it's like, one wheel in the car that resists something and the whole car will turn over.
So what you're saying is that the things that worked today probably won't work tomorrow.
Yeah, for me, it's more complicated. I don't understand what you mean by work, right? So when you say something works, it means that you impose on whatever happens now the definition of it works. Okay. Who knows, right? But for sure, the effect of what you can't run the same experiment twice, right? In a complex environment, whatever whatever you tried yesterday, you can try today. It will probably not achieve exactly the same result.
So, Dov, how can we, as everyone of us, can thrive as leaders in this context?
Ula. So may I suggest that we already do? So the most elementary thing is to accept that you are now. Like you're leading now this discussion, right? And I'm leading now this discussion as well. And I don't see the other people, but Mitun that I see here in a small icon is leading the discussion as well, just by being present here and moving, and his movement leads it somewhere. And I think no one leads everything, right? Leading everything, we call this micromanaging, and it doesn't work. Okay, you can't, as a conductor in an orchestra, you trust people that they know what they want to do, and you just play the role of the conductor of the orchestra by giving the general image and tempo. You don't tell everyone how to play their role. Okay? So when you're playing the flute, you're the leader of the flute part of the orchestra. And I think the worst thing that you can do is not accept that leadership. Like imagine, like I'm sure you were in a team where people say, I refuse to do something. I'm not paid to lead, right? Tell me exactly what you want me to do, and I will do it. How hard is it to lead people like that? So the best way to lead is to lead people who know how to lead themselves and trust them to do that.
So, how can leadership or leader help these people to lead themselves?
Yeah. So I have a small story that I told someone a few days ago. There was an article once that asked, I'm sorry about the micro-chauvinism there, that asked, what are the three words that a man can say that will win any woman's heart? Okay. So can you guess what these three words are? Three words that a man will tell a woman and will win her heart.
I don't. Too many options for me.
Yeah. So the answer, which stayed with me for years, is I got this. I got this means if you come home tired and you say, I want to eat, you don't want me to ask you, okay, so what do you want to eat? And where is the salt? And what else do you want? And when? Just, okay, I got this. Okay. And I think this is the three words that I would invite every leader to adopt. And what do I mean by this? So the small story is, I once was in an open space with Daniel Mezik. And from my eyes, it was a total disaster. Like people didn't know what to do, and like there was some glitch in the middle, whatever, but they seemed very happy. Why? Because he's the author, like he's the owner of the open space. Like he's the authority for them. And whenever something happened and they didn't know if it's okay or not, they just looked in his eyes and he said, it's okay. Okay. So the function that you as a leader can provide is this trust, this facade that says, whatever happens is good. It's okay. You have this. You know how to do this. It's okay. And by the way, if something disastrous will happen, I will help you. I will stop you. So as long as I didn't stop you, it's okay.
So it's interesting that does it mean that a leadership is also unconditional trust? Or
yes, unconditional. I'm not sure that unlimited. So like, you know, if now a murder happens in the open space, I'm sure that he will intervene. But the rails of, I think most people are limited not by the boundaries that the organization or whatever the system sets for them, but by the imaginary boundaries that they feel that the organization does.
Okay.
And to push people out of this space and to show them that when they break the rules that they imagine, it's okay. Brings out, you know, I once when I came to work, the second day that I would come to a new place, I would bring an inflatable ball. And I would put my chair aside and I would inflate the ball in the middle of the office. And I knew that whoever will challenge this is the person that as an agile coach I should work with. Okay, these people that have a very embedded imaginary guardrail that doesn't really exist anywhere. As you know, French, the comme il faut, right? The people whose nerve of comme il faut blinks terribly when something happens that is not as they imagine the perfect world should behave.
Thank you, Dov. I have a question, and then I think I would love to close our dialogue and leave the floor to the other people to ask questions. But what can you give us examples of other acts of leadership that that you know that invite people to challenge boundaries and mental models and beliefs?
I don't know if I can. I don't understand the question.
So you mentioned about inflating a ball as a coach, and you said that a leader, as I understood your reflection, a leader invites people to challenge the status quo.
Yeah, I don't know if invites, but for sure creates the space for it.
Creates the space. Okay. So my question is, how can she create a space? Do you have some extra examples?
Yeah. So the best one we talked about is congruence. Are you able to break limits visibly so that the people around you will see it? Like if it's a stuffy environment where everyone comes in a suit, can you come in a t-shirt? For example. Okay. Can you, another example, like we didn't talk about meetings, but one of the problems of meetings currently is that they occupy the whole day. And the reason is that, one of the reasons is that the defaults of a meeting is 1 hour. So we have a meeting 8 to 9 and then 9 to 10 and then 10 to 11. Can you break that default? Can you say my meetings always start 5 minutes after the hour and end 5 minutes before? If as a leader you do this, for sure it will follow. And it will invite people not only to do this, but also to ask themselves, what other defaults am I using without thinking?
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Dov, for these concrete examples and on these ideas of exemplarity and not being afraid of judgment when you break the status quo, being together with the flow. Let's let's let ourselves go with the flow and ask the participants to make their remarks or ask their questions. There's Lucian that has a remark in the chat. If you
can we just, instead of the chat, can you just show yourself and ask the question?
Of course. That's what I'm saying. Lucian has asked something in the chat. So if you want to.
Sorry, I'm at a dinner. Sorry, I'm at a dinner, and this is why I was listening, and I see a lot of dinner references here. So basically, what you made me wonder if an organization is actually, let's say, better placed on growing and investing in their leadership function instead of as a function, not let's say growing leaders, because most of the organizations are pumping up some persons because we believe this is our leader and we need to follow this person and so on. And you triggered me to understand this. And I was wondering if it is your message or I got it wrong.
Yes. So for me, yes, totally. I think when I coach teams, I usually, the first thing that I look for is who can be the internal agile agent or change agent inside the team, and help them develop this inside the team. On any level. So I don't think, leadership, I don't like the idea that leadership is a hat. As an organization, you need to have the ability as an organization, full organization, to see and to react and to listen inside and to listen outside and to connect to your need. All of these are things that are done. By the way, now you're eating, right? Who is hungry? Is your stomach hungry, or is all of you hungry?
Mostly the kids, but yeah, it's all of us.
So the kids are hungry, not the stomach is hungry, right? So the organization needs the ability to lead itself. Now, if the stomach plays more part in being hungry than the eye, then it's okay. But it's not only like, if now your mind says, I want to eat, the stomach says, no, sorry, I'm not hungry, and I decide. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay, same thing for an organization. The leadership is the ability of the organization to go to a certain direction, and it's distributed everywhere. It's not the role of the leader, quote unquote, to resolve now a conflict between me and Oana. It's the role of me and of Oana and of you, because you see this conflict, right?
Yeah, I understand.
So it's something that's embodied inside the organization. For me, it's not. Sometimes there's people who have an idea that is so strong that the idea leads the organization. So a person like Elon Musk is someone who's so charismatic and has the ability to create ideas that are so clear that people follow the idea. But he's not the only leader there.
I understand. Thank you. So it's recognizing between the leadership and they recognize the differences between the leadership and the leader and their function, and because each of them has a function and they need to interact. It's how they interact. Yeah, thank you.
So one of the greatest managers that I met, she had workshops for the people around her, open to everyone, about how to resolve conflicts and about how to connect to your emotions and about how to cooperate as a team, that were open not for her department, but for anyone interested. Okay, and this is growing leadership.
Thank you, Dov.
Thank you, Dov. Thank you, Lucian, for the question. If it's okay for you, the answers are okay.
The answer is Yanta.
Great. Thank you. whatever answer is the only answer. Thank you, Lucian. Other questions that you have or remarks from?
Yes, I just go.
Hi, Dov. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. My question is about leadership for agile teams, but in a very multicultural context. So you know that for each culture, the way you view someone as a leader is very different. The references are different. Um, the the way people view the world is different. So how do you lead a multicultural team that is globally dispersed? And when you want to lead in an agile way?
So the two things, you said multicultural and now you also say dispersed, right?
Yeah,
So
multicultural and dispersed, yeah.
So first about the dispersed, currently we are dispersed, right? Where are you talking from?
From Paris.
Ah, so we're not that dispersed, okay.
No.
But before we had people from India. We are dispersed, but still we are one enough, right? And that's what I try to hint to this in the beginning. There is an illusion of, I call it the illusion of the dichotomy. Like either you're a leader or not a leader. Either we function well or we don't function well. Either we agile or we're not agile. While all of these things, either we're hungry or we're not hungry, by the way, same. All of these things are a spectrum, right? You're hungry all the time, 1%, and you're hungry 80% when you really, right? But it moves all the time. So the question is not how to make a team function as one, but how to make it function a little bit better every day, right? And I think so. So this is like about the dispersion of the team around the globe, and it's the same thing about culture. So I assure you that me and Ohana, we don't share 100% of the same culture. So I don't know her, but just the fact that she doesn't know the Book of Tao by heart already shows me that we're not 100% aligned on our cultural references and on our metaphors, right? So why not respect that? And I think the first thing to do to bridge differences is to acknowledge and respect them, right? Is to say, I understand that in your country, I don't know what, you fast once a week for a day, and me, I don't. And your ideal of, I don't know what, your ideal of morality is Jesus, and mine is Ganesha. Which is great because everyone has the right for their own references. I would love to hear more about Jesus because I'm on the Ganesha side. You know, tell me more about you, and I would love to tell you about me. Just as a curiosity, I'm not trying to convert you to anything. And I think what I said before, the higher you move on your aspiration or on your intention side, at the end, we all want the same thing because we are all cells in the same body. Now, perhaps you're part of the arm, which is India, and I'm part of the leg, which is Europe. But at the end, when we go high enough, we're part of the same thing. So if we don't find the mutual intention, we probably didn't go high enough. Does it answer it challenge me? Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to about that, I found one issue with a lot of my clients, especially who moved into Agile recently, with a global team. So they were either helped by a by a team to go into the agile transformation without this adaptation to the local culture, because they tried to find a global model which did not work in each of the countries. And most of the complaints I had from the managers were from the local managers were lack of adaptation, lack of communication, and lack of transparency and power or control. That's because the middle management was never prepared to take up the role in an agile environment. So so what would be your response to these managers who are suffering from this fact that
My response is who? What role am I playing in my response?
So the question is for these middle managers who have never been accompanied to transition into a leadership role, but in a from a traditional environment to an agile environment.
So first of all, what you describe, and trust me, it's like 90% of the transformations look like this or worse, unfortunately, because one, there is no invite in what you described. It's an imposed, mise en place. What do you say, mise en place?
Implementation.
Set up of frameworks,
yeah,
instead of understanding a mindset. And agility is first and foremost a mindset. And once you understand the mindset, by the way, if you want, I can show you one way to put this in place. If it suits you, use it. So I want to inspire you to build a table, because you will eat in a much more comfortable way. And now I want to give you a hammer, which will probably help you. But you don't use it all the time, right? You have to use also a saw and glue, and perhaps you can build a table without a hammer. Now, if I don't tell you that I need the table and what for, and I force you to use a hammer, what are the chances that there will be problems? Okay, so for this for sure is why people fail and bang the finger with the hammer instead of building a table that can serve them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the problem is that most of the time, a management that buys something, buys agility, if you want, by the kilo, doesn't really understand what does it buy it for, and has no congruence as well. Like they buy you as a manager, as a manager, not as a leader. You buy agility for them, whoever they are, right? Make this group more agile because I heard that the agile people they produce more. So of course this middle management is totally confused, because in this setting there is no place for middle management. By the way, if you sell agility as a Scrum is a self-managed team. Who's the manager of a self-managed team? And who was the manager of this team before? And how motivated is this manager to cooperate with this thing or even to understand it? Okay, so this is like the dark side of my answer. Now, do you want to ask differently, and we'll try to find the light side of the answer?
Okay, so Mitun, are you okay with the light,
Yeah, I'm
the
serious.
dark side of the answers?
Yeah, of course, but I think this discussion can go on and on. So, but anyway, I like your inputs very much. Thank you.
What I'm saying is, if you want a real tip of how to do this, and I think it's doable, can you describe more what is the problem that you're facing?
I mean, this is like I have seen many times, so it's not from one specific situation, but I guess you're very right. The deeper questions of why they want agility were never asked in the first place, or even the reasons they gave to move to agility were more performance-based questions, not so I think that move was too fast, and like you said, I mean, the mindset was never explained or explored. So I mean,
I think I'll give you perhaps a more practical tip. When I was a much younger Agilist, Scrum Master, whatever, I felt that my role is to protect the team and fight for the team. Okay, while currently when I see a conflictual situation between the team and their manager, I know that both are right. And I just need them both to understand what is the need of each other. And if you can have this dialogue and ask the team, why does this manager behave in such a way? Why do you think he imposes this? And ask the manager, why don't the team do what you want? What do you think stands behind this? And get this thing in harmony. You can make these two parts of the system, the manager that you were trying to help find its place, and the team reach a fuller harmony.
Dov, we have about 2 minutes left, and
I can make 10 minutes longer. No, can we break the rules or no?
Well, people that want to stay longer, of course, they can. But I just wanted to make a space for someone that can't stay longer eventually and has a very urgent question, if that's okay with you, Mithan. And,
sure,
and then we can come back, because this is a very beautiful question about clarifying intentions and holistic. So if you're okay, Mithan, we can ask with, does anyone wants to ask a question before?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say thanks. It was a pleasure listening to you, and very inspirational. But I've got to run.
Thanks
a lot.
See you.
Thank you, Sam. Anyone else has a urgent thing?
It's me again. I have a question. Dov, when do you give up?
What do you mean give up?
Is there a definition of hopeless organization for you? Something that, let's say, you don't even touch, you don't even try, and at some point, how do you define this breaking point? I don't know if it makes sense, but it makes me wonder, because you give some beautiful examples, and I want to see your perspective on the end of the line. Because
so again, it's a pity we don't have 3 hours, because I would again quote the Tao. Everything dies at the end, okay? But death doesn't mean something bad. So what do you mean giving up? Sometimes what you want to do is to help the organization or the thing that can't live to die gracefully. Why not? Right? The way that I know that it's time to give up is when the organization fires me because they don't want me anymore. That's the time. That's exactly the right time to give up.
So you don't give up. You are being given up.
Yeah, but if you want to say, but give up what? I mean, the thing about the way I see coaching, or like whatever change agent, whatever, is that I don't have a direction of my own. I'm there to help you find where you want to go and help you get there. Right? So give up what?
Give up helping me as an organization. So yeah, I understand. It's me that I
You
give
go
up.
where?
Yeah,
You
I
want to
understand.
go left or right now?
Yeah, it's me that I give up working with you.
Yes.
Understand?
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dov. Thank you. This is so inspiring. So it's 2 minutes past 7, but of course we can continue the discussion for those of you that have a little bit more time and passion to continue.
I'm listening.
Nathan, if you want to continue.
Yeah, sure. We can continue a few minutes. Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, I mean that's one. The culture part is one of the topics I find most often, because the organizational culture and the local and team culture is not aligned. And other issues I find also in the alignment of values. So values of the team versus the values of the person who is managing it, and versus values of the organization. So as a leader, have you taken or made any exercise or made your teams go through any rituals which could help in aligning the values of the people?
As a leader, I don't know. As a me, I can tell you. So I would start the value discussion at the bottom and not at the top. This is one. The values of the organization are the values of the people of the organization. And either you want to impose something on the people, or you want the people to build the culture. Imposition of culture doesn't work, unfortunately, for some. No. So this is one thing. Two is one nice exercise once you have the values of the team as the team defined, or the values of the department as the department defined, or the organization, is search for examples, tell stories. Imagine, let's say that our values, can we agree that if we do an agile transformation, our values are the values of the Agile Manifesto, right? Okay. So we have 4, and they're really easy to read. So this week, can everyone search for when did we put people before process? Or perhaps we didn't, right? So today I would like, the way I started this session, I asked you to imagine what would you like to happen during the session. It's a powerful question for me because it focuses you on being awake, because at the end I can ask you, did we achieve what you wanted or not? Were you as present as you planned, or more or less? Because we have a baseline. So imagine at the beginning of the week, we say, this week is about, I don't know what, contractual negotiation and cooperation, right? These are the stories that as an organization we're looking for this week. Please send us stories, and at the end of the week, we will send you the example of the organization. Okay? If the value of the organization is that we improvise when we don't know what to do, and we trust the people around us to play along. I don't know, I'm just making it up. Let's collect stories about this. This is the month of this value out of the 17 values that we have. Make it concrete. And if there's no stories, you can ask, how come we have no stories to illustrate a value that is so important for us that we put it as part of the values of the organization? Perhaps it's time to revise our values, because this one is not relevant to our existence. Does it help? Do you think you can do something like that?
No, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank
Very,
you.
very helpful.
This is yes, this is so beautiful, a way to concretely see how much do we live by our values. Are they present in our stories? Thank you.
And by the way, if we don't live by our values, no harm done. Perhaps what I'm looking for, as I said before, is alignment between these two. So if your life is not harmonious with your values, either change your life or change your values. It's okay, both are fine. But to say, I would love to contribute for the well of the environment and continue to consume things that are bad for the environment, these two make you a conflicted person. Either say, my value now is that I live for me and fuck the environment, or say, I do every day something to make the environment a little bit better. But telling yourself lies make yourself as a person conflicted. Telling yourself lies as an organization makes your organization conflicted.
There's a word that is for me powerful. It comes from therapy. It makes you dissociated.
Yeah. Yes.
And dissociation, yeah, it's also a source of frustration and suffering, unconscious suffering, by the way. Yeah, beautiful. We end on values, as Lucian said, and it's 8 minutes past 7. So I'm aware of the time, of your time, and on dinner time. Dinner was mentioned a number of times. And you have chosen to spend the evening with us. So if that's okay with you, I will invite you to end our dialogue here. And thank you, everybody, for being with us. A special thank you, Dov, for all your insights and the depth or insights. I really have this gift from you, that is the leadership model, that is the valley for the river.
So if you want a better gift, go to leanpub.com and download the book called the Agile Tao.
Yeah.
Its demo version is the full version, so you don't even have to pay for it. You just have to read it.
Okay.
This is one. And two, would you mind if we end by one exercise from the meeting Spicer?
No, of course, please do.
Good.
Please do.
So this is the exercise that I suggest to you. I don't know if you see it on the screen. Let's try this today. Remote checkout. Ask everyone to summarize in up to 5 words what's their take from the meeting. So whoever remains, and if you don't want to turn on your cameras, you can put it in the chat. Think up to 5 words. How do you summarize the meeting of today? You can use less.
I can say from my side, transparency. Then we also talked about alignment, about continuity and the values of from the Tao philosophy.
You used much more than 5 words. I have to stop you there. So if you had to use up to 5 words, what would you say?
So alignment, values, transparency, support, and leading.
For me, it's organizations live and die by values.
6, but okay, I'll allow it. Anyone else wants to give it a try? If you're talking, we can't hear you, Gabriela.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to say something, Gabriela? Because you are muted. You are muted. You need to unmute. You can't unmute?
So
Okay.
you can write it in the chat if you want. For me, for you, do you have anything?
Yes, my 5 words is, I've said it before, is the valley as a leadership model.
If we don't count the A, it's 5. It's okay. For me, it's been a pure pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And if you love these dialogues, there will be others going on.
Just one thing. If you liked this dialogue, there is a podcast that I do with Peter Merrill about the Agile Tao called the Agile Tao Podcast. Subscribe and whatever, you know. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a
Bye.
nice evening. Happy dinner.
You too. Bye.